Coming at you live from DNHQ, beautiful South Pasadena, California. This is 110studio.la, and this is the Blue Heaven Podcast. Hey, totally nailed all the script. I feel great. My voice is gone again because I went to Arizona and I scream in Arizona a lot. What is going on, Dodgers Nation? My name is Clint. You can find me as RealFRG on Twitter and Instagram. That gentleman right there is the legendary Doug McCain, DMac_LA on Twitter and Instagram. Doug, how the hell are you doing?
I'm doing great. We're 10 days away from opening day. My brain's going to be swimming in Dodger baseball dopamine. I'm so excited. Number 10, some of my favorite Dodgers have been number 10, Gary Sheffield, our friend Ron Say, Justin Turner, Wilson Bettamy. Remember Bettamy? He was good times.
Dodger legend right there.
Hey, I'm feeling really good. By the way, last Dodger to wear number 10 before Justin Turner was Michael Young. Remember Michael Young, the 7-time All-Star? I can't believe that. It was just... Forgot that. There's a little deep dive on number 10 this morning, as you can see.
The more you know.
But yeah, I'm excited, man. We're getting so close, Glenn. How was Arizona?
It was fun. You know, I did what I usually do. I drink a lot. I scream. I have a good time. We spend money yelling and gambling and drinking. It's fun. It's all, you know. Go out. I just recommend to people, go out to spring training and watch some baseball whenever you can. It'll be back next year, I promise. Guys, on today's show, it's a very special day here in the office because it's at Noah Camaras's birthday. Oh, hey, put him up, get him on that screen. Where's that button at? There he is. Oh, whoa, that's the wrong way. It followed him awkwardly. So drop a super chat for him to let him know how much you love him.
Super chat.
X amount of dollars worth. And make sure you follow him on Twitter. That's the real way you can show your love and appreciation to him. Seeing already a couple of comments. Yeah, the WBC game is on right now, but you know what? We were on at 5 first every time, so get your ish together. I am a little annoyed that we're missing the game right now, but we're so dedicated to this show, we didn't even put it on yet, so...
That's bad scheduling. That's going to hurt their ratings.
Otherwise, on the show, let us know where you guys are watching tonight. If you are watching us live, drop them area codes into the comments to the side or below or wherever you're at. We are talking about the World Baseball Classic because a lot of cool things are happening with the WBC. We got to talk about the latest with the Dodgers spring training competition because, as you said, opening day baseball is 10 days away as of right now. And Gavin Stone is him. So we got to talk a little bit about Gavin Stone. So let's get into some of the comments here. We already see a huge one. So I'm going to read a couple before DJ producer Cody gets himself locked in and all that. But let's see. Let's find some comments here. Dustin Michael O'Hara's in the stream. He says, LOL South Pass. Fire Dude 4021 says we should get Joey Votto. I think I would prefer Freddie Freeman. Just saying.
Yeah.
And Michael Carrillo wants us to go live in 2 hours instead. We want to go home, my dude. That's
simultaneous.
That's a no. That's a no right there. Anthony Keene in the stream says, happy Monday, my dudes. Happy Monday, Anthony Keene. Doom Sal, good rainy evening from Santa Barbara. Anthony Keene also wishes Noah a happy birthday. Alexander says, happy birthday, King Noah. So, bless up. That's what's up,
King
gang.
Noah.
Just saying. But, very special comment. Don't forget to, there you go. He's got it. On lock.
Yo, what's up, guys?
What's up, DJ producer?
What's
Cody?
going on? We have a huge super chat, just like Mr. FRG just said. Shout out to Dodgers Nation Hall of Famer MH Dodger for life. He said, or he gave us $99.99, and he said nothing. But you know what, MH, we appreciate
That's
that.
the love. That's
Dodgers.
the love.
Oh, Dodgers Nation, another one.
Let's go.
MH Dodger for life, literally a Hall of Famer. He gave us $49.99. Noah gets some beer, non-alcoholic beers.
Could have paid Trea Turner with this money, MH.
No, I know you're not the biggest drinker, but what is your beer go-to? Do you have one?
Coronas.
Huh?
He said Coronas, ladies and gentlemen, if you can't hear him.
Cold Coronas.
Corona's nice.
He's like Dominic Toretto. Coronas. That's all they drink in Fast and the Furious. Anyways. Back to you guys in the studio.
Appreciate you, DJ
Rolling
producer Cody over there. Ozzy's checking in from Santa Clarita. We're getting some love for the super chats from MH. Appreciate that. As always, you are a damn legend, and we appreciate you immensely, for sure. Mosey's checking in 208, Boise, Idaho,
Boise.
in the hizzy. That's where it be. Loretta Thompson, Ms. T, watching from South Central LA. It's your hood. It's It's not really your hood, but it should be.
Good times, man. I got a lot of friends in South Central. We got Joe Bennett. We need to get better. Sign Anderson and Reynolds. Well, they can't sign him, but they could possibly trade for him. I'm sure those are names we'll discuss for the entire season. We got MH the GOAT from Alexander Z. Yeah, MH definitely is the GOAT. We got Fired Dude 48021 who said, can't wait for MLB The Show 23 to come out. Yeah, it's always exciting for sure. Mosey, happy B-Day, Noah. So Noah getting lots of B-Day love down below in the comment section.
Thursday? Wednesday. But we will not be live on Wednesday. So we celebrate.
Yeah.
Today.
National holiday.
Let's get into some stuff here. Got to remind you, by the way, this podcast is a podcast. It's audio if you don't watch us live, so you can't hear us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the spots that podcasts are available for free. We're there. I'm using my hands a lot of hand stuff going on. Don't forget, this is a live stream. Drop them comments. I already did that one. I got the wrong part of the script. Subscribe, youtube.com/says Dodgers Nation TV. Hit the bell, leave a like, tell your grandma, tell your friends. It's a cool, important thing to do so we all feel the love. All right, so let's talk about that World Baseball Classic that's going on. I know you were at the Laker game yesterday, so you didn't see US decide to go and trounce, which is a good word, to trounce the Cuban team, but Trea Turner is on God mode right now. What the hell what did they put in the water there? He just really loves the East Coast, doesn't he?
U.S. Trey. U.S. Trey. U.S. Trey. No, I mean, he's been fantastic. He's really having his moment, and I think he's really kind of breaking through. Even though this isn't Major League Baseball, even though this isn't the postseason where a lot of fans criticize his play there, he's already said this has been the biggest home run of his career, one of the biggest stretches, and I think that he's going to get a lot of confidence from this. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of Dodger fans out there are hurting a little bit when you see the success that he's having on top of Gavin Lux being injured, on top of the fact that you don't have a really established shortstop of his caliber. I mean, we know Rojas definitely defensively is fantastic, but yeah, Trea Turner, what he's been doing at the World Baseball Classic is just great. I'm actually happy for him. I'm really happy for him. I mean, it's kind of a F you to the haters type home run that he had, really, and I think that it's going to really help build his confidence. But look, he's a guy that's a fantastic player, just was waiting for his moment. And you're talking about a guy who just looks absolutely locked in at the plate. He just absolutely crushed a mistake on that changeup. And yeah, you got to tip it. The only criticism I have, though, is I was kind of hoping that after he hit the home run, he would still slide into home and do the smooth sliderator Trea Turner slide. But yeah, I mean, he looks fantastic and big for the U.S.
He slides.
He slides.
He has power.
John Amp,
Did I mention he has power? Wait, did he say the slide thing twice? I forgot how that. It clearly worked. It got him $300 million from the Phillies and not from the Dodgers. So I think that's the big question we're seeing from some fans online. Should the Dodgers have tried harder to keep Trea Turner? I'm sure you've thought about this long and hard over the course of the offseason alone. But what do you think? Should they have tried harder to keep Trea Turner?
I think that with the Dodgers, they're a smart organization in that, look, they fight battles that they think they can win. And I think that you knew in the industry that Trea Turner had really made it clear that he wanted to be on the East Coast. His wife's from Florida. His wife's from New Jersey. Their family's in New Jersey. He's from Bradenton, Florida. That's where he lives in the offseason in West Palm Beach. He went to NC State. He wanted to be on the East Coast. So unless the Dodgers could bring the East Coast to the West Coast and bring Philly to L.A., he was going to end up with the Philadelphia Phillies. Then on top of that, you consider the fact that the Padres made that $342 million offer. Yes, the state income tax is a factor. That's been made clear this offseason, but I don't think there was any universe where the Dodgers were going to land Trea Turner. I think if there was any chance they could land Trea Turner, it would have had to have been they make a deep run in the postseason. They have this magical run after winning 111 games, and they win a World Series, and he has a big moment, and then you maybe get close to matching what the Phillies offered him, or maybe you slightly outbid him to try to make up for the income tax issues, and then you say, hey, maybe you get him to be the shortstop of the future. But I just don't think the Dodgers really thought that there was any realistic chance that he would sign with LA. And look, I think at the very worst, Trea Turner could have used the Dodgers for leverage and said, okay, maybe the Dodgers are offering me this and we can sign him. Look, the Dodgers had a better chance of re-signing Manny Machado than they did re-signing Trea Turner. It was not going to happen. Look, Trea Turner was very upset that he was traded to LA in the first place. And he was fantastic. He made the most out of it. But yeah, it just was never going to happen.
Yeah, it's nice to see him succeeding with his buddies still around him. He's still got Mookie, he's still got Will Smith, he's still got Dino Evil there, dapping him up as he's rounding the bases on the biggest home run, biggest hit of his life. But you've put out some fire about the whole Trea Turner situation on your Twitter over the last couple of days. Fully agree with what you're saying about it. It's like, yeah, you didn't want to be here, made the most of it. Agree, you hit the nail on the head, and that's what people gotta accept about the Trea Turner. If you wanted him back, if you think they could have signed or should have tried harder, reality is the Dodgers probably tried to an extent, but they knew. I mean, we heard the way Dave and really Andrew Friedman were talking pretty early in the offseason. It's like, look, we know where his heart kind of lies.
Yeah, so. I remember when you and I were sitting wherever that was for the winter meetings, and Dave Roberts said we loved having Trea Turner on our team. I tweet out right away. That just tells you loved in past tense, and it just was going to happen. You remember too, after Corey Seager signed with the Texas Rangers, maybe a month and a half after, we heard of that rumored offer the Dodgers made, close to $300 million. We heard about the offer they made to Corey Seager before the 2021 season. You really haven't heard a rumored offer to Trea Turner, so that tells me that these two sides were very far apart. The fact that you talked about that John Hamm sizzle reel that they made, it lets you know if you're gonna the incumbent team always has the best shot in most cases, but in this case we know that it was a family decision. He wanted to get back with his BFF in Bryce Harper and get back to the NL East. And look, maybe if the Dodgers went crazy and said, okay, we want him so bad, we'll give him $400 million, and you really just make him a Godfather offer that he can't refuse, and he has a lot of great moments with the Dodgers, maybe it's possible. But yeah, it just was never going to happen. I think Dodger fans kind of like to believe, I think it was Xavier Shrugs that he tweeted out, the MLB Network analyst was like, I can't believe the Dodgers let Trea walk. They did not let Trea walk. I mean,
what a bad take from MLB Network. No.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a completely uninformed take. The Dodgers, but I do think there is this perception out there from analysts and from some fans that the Dodgers just pull up to the free agency store and they go down to the shortstop aisle and they get whatever thing they want. Yeah, I'll take the Trea Turner. No, that's not how it works. No. It has to be mutual. So yeah, like I said, there was just no traction on any type of deal. And look, I mean, the fact that we talked about earlier, the Padres made that deal and you didn't come close to signing with them, lets you know he was going to be on the East Coast. So Dodger fans, don't feel bad about Trea Turner. In fact, there is a world where the Dodgers got two of his best years. Yeah. And do you really want to sign a shortstop at that age who really relies on a lot of that speed to make him a dynamic player? Would you really want that? Because the back half of that, he's not going to finish his career at shortstop, probably end up back in the outfield, wasn't a great second baseman. So, yeah, I wouldn't have even liked him at that price, if we're being completely honest.
Dive into a few of the comments here. Loretta says, I miss Trea Turner already, being a Dodger player, but alas, will always be a Dodger Blue fan with or without him. Yeah, you love the player while they're here, but you root for the name on the front of the jersey, and that says Dodgers all time. Robert Baker said it's still spring training Trea, not regular season Trea. We were hoping to see this out of postseason Trea, and we did not. He had two opportunities to go in the postseason with the Dodgers. Did not capitalize on either of them. Hit a little bit better last year, but the glove just went. And we make fun of that as well, because why not? That's what we do. But anyways, one thing though, you are seeing this team. You're seeing the fire, I should say, with Team USA, because I wanted to talk about. I want to shift gears a little bit. Still talk about WBC. Team USA really playing with an edge right now. They look good. They look like they're gelling. They look like they're having fun. One of the things I found kind of interesting, I think it was Nolan Arenado. The quote came from Nolan where when they made the shift from Arizona to Miami, they realized, hey, we got to step our game up intensity-wise. We got to root about everything, because they knew Miami is going to have a lot of Cuban team fans. It's going to have it's not built for, I don't know if it's built, but it's not going to be tailored towards Team USA, a bunch of random white boy fans and all that. Do you think seeing some of this intensity, seeing the success Team USA is having right now, do you think it could help Dodger players that are on that team? Will Smith, Mookie's already kind of been there, of course, but Will's kind of been there. Different scenario, 2020 bubble, reduced crowd World Series and all that. And the last few years, we've seen there's a significant lack of intensity, at least from what we see. with the Dodgers players in the postseason? Does this help them find something with like a group and in such a big stage and maybe bring it to the team when they get to October this year and kind of run with it?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. Now, to what degree, who knows? But I mean, if you just look at it as a whole, that's like you said, they're playing on what essentially feels like a road game. It's basically how Petco Park felt for Dodger fans for so many years, right? You had the Dodger fans infiltrating their home stadium, and you feel that electricity in that environment. But also, you're just around great players. I mean, Mookie is surrounded by Mike Trout and all these elite players in the game. Same thing with Will Smith playing with JT Realmuto, a guy who a lot of people debate who's better at this stage. So I think sometimes you take from being just around these great players something, and then you kind of lead by example when you get back to your club. But as far as intensity goes and fire goes, yeah, I mean, atmosphere-wise, these crowds are absolutely lit. I mean, Venezuela, Cuba, Puerto Rico, even the Dominican Republic when they were still in it. I mean, these crowds were just on fire, and if you're able to have success in those environments, and it definitely plays up because you've been there before. Now, this Dodgers team has guys that have done it in big moments. When you talk about Will Smith's home run in Game 5, Mookie Betts is a guy that's had success in the World Series. So the Dodgers that are currently competing, I wouldn't say from a playing standpoint it's going to change much, but I think that it definitely is a important memory that they have. And also, too, look, I mean, if Trea Turner doesn't swing that magic wand and get that grand slam, this team could be just kind of coming back after not having won this WBC and being an early exit. So, yeah, I think it absolutely is good. I think it's better for Will Smith than it is for Mookie Betts because Will Smith is a guy that hasn't made an all-star team yet. He's flown under the radar for the most part, but now you're seeing his name amongst these great players from the United States. I think it's big for Will Smith. I absolutely think it's a confidence booster.
One thing I kind of go back to is after the Dodgers were bounced by the Padres, Andrew Friedman was asked about where was the fire, what was going on, and Andrew said I think that sort of chemistry, that fire, that intensity, the dugout erupting that comes when a big hit happens. We didn't get a big hit. You get a hit as big as Trea Turner's, it's gonna suddenly spark everything. So agree with what you're going with there, and just kind of wanted to add that a little bit. Couple of questions, or not questions, getting a couple of comments here. Clayton Lockhart says, "What up, Clint? What up, D-Mac? What to do, D-Mac? And to smash that thumbs up button. Go Dodgers!" Hey, everybody should mash that thumbs up button because we like it. That's all I got. Current listener activity in the stream says Mexico is up 3-0 in the fourth. Will Julio pitch tomorrow? No. Julio has been removed from the Team Mexico roster because he is no longer going to pitch in the tournament. He just pitched, Friday?
Yeah.
He's not going to go again on Tuesday, and Tuesday is the final game for the tournament. So he's off, so they're able to add a fresh pitcher, and he's staying around. He's watching. He's going to be part of the all of the festivities because just because you're not on the roster doesn't mean you can't hang out and have a good time. So that's that.
Yeah, protect Julio at all costs. So I got to say, we don't need an Edwin Diaz situation, especially when you consider he's on that platform season. He has a lot of money that he could lose. So yeah, I absolutely want to keep him as fresh as possible.
Yeah, he did not look exceptional in that last start, but also he kind of pitched one day earlier than expected because of the decision to move the games, which really upset Team Mexico manager Benji
He was
Gil.
upset about that. Yeah.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
Just because you decided that you wanted USB on the primetime game or whatever, give Mexico its time to shine,
Yeah, especially because of how much success that they've had. They definitely earned it. But hey, we know that at the end of the day, the suits, the executives with these companies, these networks, they really decide everything.
Damn kids and their rap tunes. That's not what we're going with.
Yeah,
it's the opposite. It's the
that could
opposite.
work.
One last thing we wanted to talk about a little bit with this WBC stuff is hey, on Twitter, around social media, the discourse is wild. There's a lot of hate for it. We're seeing injuries. Of course, Jose Altuve, thumb broken, hit by pitch. He's out for the next few months. We've seen other injuries already happen in this tournament. Who was the big one? Somebody messed up something. Why? I don't know. I didn't have enough beer today.
For which team?
What was the other injury from before? There was a big injury.
Edwin Diaz?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know why I couldn't think of it. It's been a long day and week
Yeah.
and month and even your year. But yeah, there's
I'll
a
be
lot
there
of
for you.
injuries and people think for some reason that you can't get injured in spring training. I don't know. What do you think of all this hate and it being, quote, meaningless, even though every single player has said this tournament means something to them? Even down to like Austin Barnes, he's talking about how much this is meaning to him and how cool the event is.
Yeah, I know. When you hear it from the players themselves, you really have to take it at face value, and you have to really. And they've embraced this fully. And at this point, I'm starting to think that the spring training, regular season, the postseason is just to get them ready for the WBC. The way they're talking about it, I mean, they are really embracing this tournament and representing their country. Now, as far as the injuries go, I think Dodger fans know better than anyone out there that just look at Gavin Lux. I mean, that was considered a meaningless spring training game. You lost him to an ACL injury. So injuries are going to happen. I don't care if it's a WBC game. Your body doesn't know it's playing in a WBC game versus an MLB game versus a spring training game. I think the argument that you might want to make if you want to go that route is to say that it's very high intensity postseason like baseball. When are you truly ramped up? That's kind of the question I would have, especially from a pitcher standpoint. If I'm an owner of one of these teams like a Stephen Cohen and you see you sign him to you sign Edwin Diaz to a $102 million deal, you make him the highest paid reliever in the history of the game, and he not only gets injured, but he gets injured celebrating after the win. I mean, it's crushing, but look, I don't think that this should mean anything. I think the WBC is once every 4 years. It's not like it happens every single year. And yeah, injuries are going to happen. But yeah, I think the reality is there's just no perfect time for this tournament. And the reason that is because baseball is such a long season. We're talking about a 6-month-long season.
Yeah.
The World Cup, it occurs after their season in the summertime. The Olympics, when it comes to basketball, it's after their season. So really, it's tough to fit this in. I've seen people online suggest maybe having it after the postseason. But in my opinion, after the postseason, how many of those pitchers that made deep runs are going to opt out? How many players that made deep runs are going to opt out? And those are usually the players that you want to see. Those are the best players of the best team. So like I said, it's just tough, but I'm glad to see the better stars are embracing it, and just hopefully guys don't get injured.
Yeah, well, and also to kind of talk about or address the idea of players not being fully ramped up. It's like, you're going to be on this roster most likely. You start your spring training a little bit earlier if you want to play in this tournament and not get yourself hurt, or as we've seen with some, pitchers particularly, get somebody else hurt, like maybe Daniel Bard not being quite up to snuff and throwing one right at Altuve. Hey, we don't like Jose Altuve, but I don't want to see that. That's not cool. Him getting hit in the hand. By the way, called it the second it happened, and it was thumb. Looked very broken.
Dr. Clay.
I am a doctor, and I was very drunk when I called that. Moving on, guys.
He earned that MVP, Ken.
They know the facts.
Altuve.
Let's talk about the latest out of Dodger camp. This is a Dodger show, so we got to probably talk about them Los Angeles Dodgers. As this guy said already, we are less than 2 weeks away, 10 days away from opening day as of the time we are live, and there are still a couple of questions left. I don't want to deep dive into all this. We'll do that next week into all of the roster talk, but over the last couple of days, Dave Roberts has talked a bit about the bullpen, and we're kind of getting a clearer idea of what the bullpen's going to look like. I think you feel pretty good about Evan Phillips on there. I do want to ask you about a couple of these guys. Vesia and Ferguson are going to be on there, so you have your two lefties, which was pretty much one of the things Dave confirmed. There's a chance for one more, maybe a Justin Brule or something like that. I don't see that happening. The rotation outside of Tony Gonsolin going on the IL, which we talked about a lot last week. Rotation is going to be set. Your top four. It's either going to, in my opinion, I think they go Grove or Jackson, because I don't think Catman's going to be out for that long. But I could very well be wrong, and it could be a good friend of the show and the guy who sends you clothing, Mr. Ryan Pepio. Brusdar is probably going to be one of your guys that gets a good amount of saves, because Daniel Hudson will not be available to start the season. He's frustrated, and he's annoyed by that fact. Yency Almonte has been slow played this spring training, but he's going to be on the roster. You can pretty much say that. Our friend of the show, Juan Toribio, MLB.com reporter, he mentioned today in a column that Almonte should be a lock. Shelby Miller appears to be a lock, even though he's not been good this spring training. But What do you think about any concerns about let's say kind of inactive spring training for Yancey?
Not too much. I mean, the movement was pretty nice on that two seam, and I think you're gonna see them basically go back to that same mix, that same mix that was so effective for him. So yeah, I just think for him, he's a guy that came up during the season last year and was able to hit the ground running right away. So I really think the way he trusts the stuff, the confidence that he has, it's gonna be there. Velocity wise, he was okay. For him, it's just about commanding that fastball and really just working off those two pitches. So I'm not overly concerned. You would have liked to see him get some more time in there. He's a guy that really knows his body well. I mean, when his arm when had the forearm soreness and the elbow issues, he's like, yeah, this pretty much happens every year, and you kind of deal with it. So he's able to get himself ramped up pretty quickly. And I think too, you just have to kind of go with the best raw stuff. When it comes to best stuff, this guy's stuff is lethal, his swing and miss. So definitely one of the big breakout kind of players in that bullpen last season. But yeah, if you look at this bullpen as a whole, the names you mentioned, Shelby Miller's an interesting one.
Yeah,
because
I want to get your Miller thoughts because they signed him to a big league deal. We're talking before the show. Before the show, they can't. I mean, you could try to phantom IL him. Chances are, though, he's on that opening day roster because if you put him on the phantom IL to start the season, then who comes, behind him? Because there's not that many dudes who are healthy and going to be exceptional contributors. But yeah, give me some Miller thoughts.
Yeah, so with Shelby Miller, they signed him, like you said, to that minor league deal. You basically have to carry him or DFA him. You can't send him down. And they want him to be a strikeout guy. And that's what they had hoped he would be. But got off to a slow start. Looked really rough when we were there in his first inning of work. And if you look at his numbers at 12.27 ERA and 3 2/3 innings of work, but the strikeout numbers are not where they're hoping that they would be. Just 6 strikeouts so far. So look, I mean, you see the potential in him, and they're absolutely going to give him a shot early on in the season. But you talk about the deal he signed, just $1.5 million. It's not like that's going to really hurt a team like the Dodgers, but still, he's a guy that he has been this league long enough, and he's kind of been through the trials and tribulations of being at the AAA level to playing in the big league level that I think he's going to be just fine early on. I think when you talk about pure stuff that he's a guy kind of you can see the light turning on when the brights are actually on for opening day and trying to work out some things. So, yeah, we were talking to Austin Barnes, and during when we were at spring training, he was saying that when it comes to actual stuff and kind of throwing side sessions, he is really high on Shelby Miller. So I think it's kind of a part of the process of just getting him to where he needs to be.
All right. Well, for me, jury's out for sure. But I hope you're right. The lights turn on. I know we got something from DJ producer Cody. What do you got?
We have a super chat.
Super chat.
Is it a birthday super chat for birthday boy Noah Camrus over there?
It's not.
Oh.
Dun, dun, dun. Anyways, Michael Carrillo gave us $2, and he
Let's
said,
go,
"Can we
Michael.
capitalize on the Mets' desperation?"
How so? What do they have that the Dodgers would need?
I mean, it's not happening. The Mets aren't going to be sellers no matter what under any circumstances.
I think he means like
because they need a closer with Diaz out. The Dodgers don't even have a closer.
He means the other way, like they just lost Diaz.
Like, I think he means like just because they lost Diaz, like maybe they're not as good of a team. So like, can we capitalize on that?
Oh, you mean as far as like record wise?
Yeah, like exactly. Like since they lost
Yeah.
a big piece, can we capitalize on that and like outgate? Like,
I mean,
Yeah, we can go
to me-
kidnap Mr. Met and take away more.
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, the Braves are my pick to win that division anyway. I still have much more confidence in the Braves. I mean, the Mets have a lot of flashy names, but if I had that amount of money, that's not my roster construction with the way they've used those funds. But yeah, I mean, you look at that Mets team, they're expected to compete. I mean, you bring in, I'm calling them the ace RPs and Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. So you know they won't be punting on this season.
Yeah.
Losing Diaz, the most dominant closer in the game, was a massive blow. And yeah, I think the Dodgers, anytime you look at teams out there that are competing with them, you look at those big money teams because look, they're trying to follow really the Dodgers blueprint in the sense where you sign guys when they're available, you sign big names, but also you're able to draft and develop. But they haven't drafted and developed and built the farm system that the Dodgers have, that the Dodgers have spent over a decade building. So the Mets aren't there quite yet, but yeah, I mean, they have been kind of a sexy pick, one of the darlings heading into this season based on some of their offseason acquisitions. I mean, you talk about also that injury to Nimmo, that's not going to be that significant, but yeah, losing Diaz was a massive blow, and I think the Dodgers, that's kind of one less team that you kind of cross off the list that's going to be a legitimate contender. I think the Padres, the Braves, those are some teams I think pose a bigger threat out there than the Mets were going to, because I just didn't really believe in their offense. I mean, they brought in Carlos Correa like he was supposed to be on that team for a few hours there. I think that would be a different story. But yeah, I just don't think the Mets have enough to really compete with some of the better teams in the NL, even as their current roster is constructed after the injuries.
I mean, it's a big injury, but hey, maybe that brings it a little bit closer to where the Dodgers are at. Dodgers don't have a closer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Technically speaking, but no, I mean, it's interesting. I think what you're going to find out is the season is long, and we don't know what the hell everything's going to look like by the time the games mean a whole lot more in October. Getting back into this bullpen stuff a little bit. Already talked about Hudson. He's going to be out to start the season. There's kind of, it sounds to me like they're taking a little bit of a step back and kind of getting more on a rehab or figuring out. They said they're how did they word it? Like they're trying to figure out like a path to his timeline, or I don't know, some sort of bullshit Dodger talk that they like to say. But
coded.
Thank you. Just a whole bunch of words that means like, hey, we don't know when he's going to be ready. So add him to the pile of potential relievers that are injured that could come back later in the season. You have Alex Reyes, who told you at spring training. Check out the video on our YouTube channel. He mentioned that June is kind of their target. So if we're lucky, it's June. Maybe July is an option, but maybe somewhere along the way, Walker Buehler, well down the road, is a bullpen option. Another one of these guys who just watching him is not going to be ready for opening day is Jimmy Nelson, because my dude, he has yipped up his wazoo, man. He says he feels good. Dave kind of threw him a little bit under the bus over the weekend and then backtracked, as Dave does. Apparently, though, Stimmy Nelson says he feels better than he has in 6 years, which is one of those things you say when you're trying to just grasp onto your career. Going to be stashed on the IL. I don't think he makes it back. Give me some Stimmy Nelson. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he issued so many walks yesterday, my dog was starting to get jealous. I mean, he had to hit batters, he struggled with command, and yeah, like Dave said after the game, I mean, coming back from Tommy John, all the injuries he's dealt with throughout the years, it's going to take some time. He also is a guy who was one of the highest spin rate guys in the game before he left after the crackdown. I mean, he was spinning it as well as anyone, so he also has to adjust to that. So yeah, I think Jimmy Nelson is going to take some time. He has to find the zone, and if he doesn't do that, I don't see him as a big contributor. He kind of came as a surprise when they signed him to that deal, and they showed confidence in him. But yeah, definitely was a rocky start. He looked very frustrated out there. When Dave was walking out to the mound, he just had this like statue look, like he didn't want to make eye contact with him. But it's like, you're gonna get taken out of the game at this point. So he kind of rescuing him out there. He was just like he was out in the ocean, just without any type of life vest or something, just flapping around. He came out there to save him. But yeah, I'm not expecting too much from him, but yeah, we saw him in 2021 from a strikeout rate, from a missed bats perspective. He's a guy that when he's right can't absolutely help, but it looks like he's far away from being the guy that he was in 2021.
Yeah, well, I think we're also really, really overly focusing on that guy he was in 2021, which was only a 28 game spurt, and that was the most dominant he'd ever been. And then his arm said, "All right, I'm out." But before then, like at his best was slightly above a mid pitcher. I don't know why they gave him a more lucrative contract when they had a club option on him to start the season, or start the off season, and for some reason declined it, gave him that money, and then gave him more after. What the hell happened there is beyond me. But I think that's going to be a wash. It's going to end up being a waste of money. He could be happy, he could be healthy, he could feel better than he has in 6 years, but you got to be able to throw strikes in this league, my dude. Skipped one guy. Phil Bickford is in an interesting situation. He's probably going to make the opening day roster because there aren't other people necessarily around that are better than him or healthy. But, he could be lost. He has no more options. What do you think Phil Bickford's year looks like to at least start the season?
I'm buying into the idea of him having a bounce back year. I really am. He looks like his control's better. He's not Last year when he struggled, it was the home runs, right? He had gone from 6 home runs allowed in 2021 to 12 home runs in 2022, and a lot of that was just missing out over the plate, not working the corners like he was. And we know his stuff moves, and he's got great movement on his pitches. But if you look at the year he had last year, a 4.72 ERA, coming off that 2.5 ERA in 2021, but he's looked good so far this spring. The command looks a lot better. I think he's a guy that absolutely is going to get that 8th bullpen spot for the Dodgers, especially with Daniel Hudson out. And like you said, he has no more options. They would have to DFA him. They trust him. I mean, look, if you look at last season, most Dodger fans might be a little surprised to learn that he had 60 appearances. That was 4th on the team last year. That was only 3 shy of Craig Crumble. So he's a guy that at the very least ate up innings. And he had a rubber arm in 2021. So I think that you kind of take what happened in 2022 and you kind of find out what went wrong, try to identify, try to correct some things. His arm is feeling better. He was dealing with some shoulder soreness late last season. So I think Phil Bickford is quietly going to have a nice bounce back here and be a guy that can eat innings for this bullpen.
So that's 7 spots. They need one more guy, and as our friend Juan Toribio listed out, he's got Nelson, he's got Brule, Andre Jackson, and Jake Reed being one of those kind of dark horse guys to do what he does best, get a roster spot, and then get DFA'd after a week or 2 at most. But
first career save.
Do you think maybe there's a way, or there's a path to both, or I should say 2 of both? Or that's not saying it right. 2 of Pepio, Jackson, and Grove making the opening day roster, because one is going to fill in for Gonsolin, and another one of those guys is going to take a spot in the bullpen. Do you think that that's a reality?
Well, I think look, if you look at...
I set that up very poorly for you, by the way.
No, I mean, look, all those guys would be starters for a lot of teams around this league. I mean, there are guys that they have big league experience. Andre Jackson has really embraced the role they have for him as a somewhat of a swing man, a guy can give you 3-4 innings, a guy that when his command is right, he can go out there and perform well. Michael Grove is a guy, his velocity is trending in the right direction. He's spinning it better. He's adding more of a repertoire as far as that slider. The curveball is looking good, traditional. Ryan Pepio, the command is there. He has improved his delivery. Now, could 2 of those guys make it? I think it's still unlikely. I think they're going to go with one of those 2 between Grove and Pepio to fill in that 5th spot. And I think if you look at the bullpen, you go Phillips, Almonte, Brusdar, Vesia, Ferguson. You already said you're going to have those 2 lefties, and then Miller, Yancey, and Phil Bickford. So I think it's unlikely, but I do think, I mean, what I asked Dave Robertson, they didn't really give me a good answer for this. I asked him about going to a 6-man rotation and possibly having Pepio as a swingman, or some of these other guys. I mean, Gavin Stone, who we'll talk about, I'm sure, in a few seconds here, about a role as a swingman. They have guys that have experience coming out of the bullpen, or at the very least, opening games, pitching 3 or 4 innings, and not looking to go deep into games. So I think the way it's trending right now, if you're going with the better arm with more upside, you go with Ryan Pepio. But like we talked about last week, if you know it's just going to be a few starts and you think Gonsolin's going to come back at 100%, Michael Grove makes a little more sense.
And then that leaves Jackson potentially for that last kind of swingman bullpen role. He could be a long relief guy. He could be your sort of cleanup reliever, as he's done in the past, last couple of years, getting those either huge deficits or big leads late in games. And if he's able to eat 2, 3, 4 innings to end a game, that's a useful role, especially early in the season.
Yeah, and Andre Jackson has really prided himself for this role, whereas Grove and Pepio, they really have been working as these starters, right? So Andre Jackson, as long as he has the command, as long as he's throwing strikes, he's proven that he can be serviceable. He did have a bad year last year, especially down the stretch. He really struggled and figured some things out, and really kind of just fell behind some of the other guys when he was really closer to the front. And then, I mean, to me, it really just comes down to who do they trust more just to be good and solid versus, hey, we're not looking for a lights out ace or some guy that's a high leverage arm. We have our arms for that.
Yeah, the problem is there aren't very many lights out solid guys ready and healthy and available to start the season. So it's kind of take what you get. And I would take Andre Jackson over Jake Reed, but they have some roster spots to play with, because they're going to throw 5 dudes at least on, I think it's 5 dudes on the 60 days. So you have a few roster spots If it goes Jake Reed, I wouldn't be surprised. Personally, I go Andre Jackson for that last bullpen role. But anyways, talked more on that a lot longer than I planned. Good talk, though. That's what you guys need. You want that sweet, sweet Dodger talk. DKM says there's also JP Fireeisen, if I said it right. You did not say it right, but you got close enough. And, close counts and horse grenades and roster talk. He is another one of those guys who's hurt. He's coming off of, shoulder surgery, I believe it is.
Yep.
So he is maybe in August, something like that.
It's going to be a while.
Yeah. Don't expect to see JP anytime immediately soon. All right, let's talk a bit quicker about the bench because we talked about that a lot last week. Decided to add a couple of names this week. We've already mentioned the bench before. We know Jason Hayward's going to be a guy. He's a lock. He's going to be on that roster. This we know. James Outman, last couple of weeks, kind of taking a step back. They don't want to stash him on the bench or bury him on the bench. Not get his playing time, not get his at-bat. So he's the fan favorite guy to get that last bench role. I don't think they go that route. Yanni Hernandez makes sense as a guy who is a defender on the infield. Also never been good as a big leaguer. A couple of ones that are kind of popping out, though, when you think about it what does Dave Roberts love? Veterans. And they have a pair of veteran outfielders with Bradley Zimmer, Steven Duggar. We did not mention them last week, so I wanted to get a little bit of thought from you on Zimmer and Duggar. Which one is it? Zimmer's actually doing pretty damn well this spring. 24 at-bats, 827 OPS. This is before Monday night's game. I don't know if he's in the lineup tonight, but do you think that one of those guys can kind of sneak in? He's got some center field experience. He's played a lot of center field so far this spring. What do you think?
Yeah, defensively, Zimmer can absolutely get the job done. I mean, he was a top 100 prospect for a reason at one point. His swing, though, it's long. I mean, his swing is longer than the receipts at CVS. If you look at his numbers so far this spring, he's gone 7 for 24 with 13 strikeouts. So that's a strikeout rate of over 50%. So people like to complain about James Outman striking out. Well, Zimmer's striking out at a 54% clip. But, yeah, I think if I had to pick one of the two, Zimmer offers the higher upside because you mentioned that OPS, and he's had more extra base hits, whereas Duggar, he's hitting 208 and not much at the plate. He's not doing much at the plate, has 11 strikeouts himself in 24 at-bats. So, yeah, if I had to pick between the two, between Zimmer and Duggar, I'm going Zimmer, but I think there would be a riot in Los Angeles if James Outman didn't make the opening day roster at the hands of Zimmer. So, yeah, I just think that, like if they want to go...
your riot shield then.
I mean, get it. I mean, look, the thing about James Outman, you bring up a good point about James Outman has cooled off. Last 5 games, he's gone 1 for 14, 7 strikeouts. So strikeout rate at 50%. But hey, Cody Bellinger's hitting like 200 with the Cubs. So look, the thing with James Outman, like you said, it's about getting experience. You can't just sit him on the bench. But on the same token, it's like he doesn't need minor league experience. He needs big league experience. So I do think that would stun his growth if you send him back to AAA. Because if he goes down to AAA and he's hitting 500 and we're seeing people on Twitter saying he hit for the cycle twice in one game and things like that, it's not going to mean much because he's already proven that he can rig at that level. And you consider his age, I think if you're going to give him a real opportunity, you have to trust him in this situation because the development that I have really noticed when it comes to the Zimmer versus Duggar versus Outman versus Hayward is Hayward has taken a step back and he's looking like that 200 hitter once again. So I don't see a reason why Outman can't be your opening day starting center fielder.
Hayward had a couple of hits, including the homer last week against the Cubs. I know because I remember because I was there and he won somebody money out of the cup. But they're married to this Hayward thing to at least start the season. I kind of feel like the Outman situation is the same as the Pepio situation, the Pepio Gonsolin situation. It's like if Gonsolin's going to be out for a while, Pepio's probably going to get that 5th starter role so he can have a little bit of a run. If Outman's going to be on the opening day roster, it's because he is going to be kind of christened as the unofficial opening day starter and get the lion's share of time in center field. We know Mookie's going to be in right. We know David Peralta's going to be in left a whole bunch. CT's probably going to be there to be the other guy. Hey, guess what? Trace Thompson's also around. You guys know how I feel about Trace Thompson. Not that I feel about him. It's what I think is going to happen. He's not going to be around past April. But that's what I think. I think they're gonna find a way, because they're gonna have to like really get him to buy in, Outman to buy in on this, because it's like, hey, dude, you've done everything you're supposed to do. There's the door. That's tough.
Yeah, if they're going pure meritocracy based on the results of spring, James Outman makes a lot of sense. Trace Thompson, everything.
Well, if
like
we're doing that, Bradley Zimmer makes a lot of sense. 292, 827, no PS, no bombs, but still,
but
no ribbies.
I mean, but I just think
Hitting up bad pitching.
I mean, still, this strike. I mean, I think that a lot of scouts, a lot of people will realize that that swing is not going to play out facing big league pitching consistently. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's going to struggle mightily at the plate in Bradley Zimmer, whereas James Outman, all he's done is had success wherever he's been. So at some point, you have to give the guy the opportunity that he's earned. And I think Trace Thompson's a guy, look, he started all 4 of the Dodgers NLDS games. He's a guy that you probably see in center field because of his seniority. They respect him. They hope that he can do a better job against lefties and kind of get back to the player that they hoped he was going to be. But yeah, he's another guy that's in the same category as Bradley Zimmer as far as, can you truly trust him to go out there and consistently hit big league pitching? And then if you can't, then you go with the defense for a center fielder. Who is the best defender who says, hey, let's do the Cody Bellinger model? Well, at least he plays defense, right? So Bradley Zimmer is a guy that can play gold glove caliber defense, and he can also impact the game with his speed. So he does have a lot of tools that you like, but I just don't see him having success at the big league level with the stick, and that would be my concern. And if you're already really in this, if you're already on this trajectory where you don't have that guy that's proven that, hey, he can be our everyday guy, because let's face it, that all of them have had their ups and downs. There isn't that perfect guy. Might as well try the guy with the higher ceiling in James Outman. And if he doesn't work out, then you explore the trade route. Then you pick up the phone and you call the Pittsburgh Pirates and you inquire about a Brian Reynolds and you say, hey, is he available, because we need some more hitting? Because at some point, you're losing the production of Trea Turner at shortstop. You're not getting the production from Gavin Lux that you were expecting. And then you're not getting production from center field. Left field is a big question with David Peralta and Chris Taylor. The more I'm having this conversation with myself, I'm freaking myself out about this season. So
Right. Hey, I'm just telling you, I think a lot of fans are here. I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm like, we need to get Doug as the damn GM of this team right now, because we got some problems to fix right now. There's a comment in here too I saw. I loved and I also hated it because it's terrifying. Matty Man 5 Dodge, one of our friends here on the stream, says it's gonna be a tough year for the Dodgers if they're losing. Or if they're losing with Hayward, Duggar, and Zimmer on the roster, you're going to lose a ton of fans. I think it's going to be not the sexiest season, and I think there are times where we're really trying to convince ourselves this is going to be a good season.
Yeah.
I had that moment of clarity a few weeks ago on one of these streams where I was like, wow, this bullpen is really like scary, potentially bad. And now we're kind of looking at the outfield. It's like there are you're going to want to get a beep ready, shit ton of thank you. Ifs in this outfield.
Tons. And there just isn't that guy that you can rely on. I mean,
at this point, not even CT3, who looks very lost. Sounds like he looks very lost in the articles I've written.
I will say if they're on an optimistic note, Mitch Lotta have full take on Chris Taylor is yes, 5 for 37 this spring, hitting 135. Those are brutal. I saw Dodgers Nation.
16 strikeouts, I think.
Yeah, the strikeouts. I mean, in 39 at-bats. But I will say, though, the strikeouts, and I saw Dodger fans were freaking out. He hit a home run. CT3 is back. He hit a Haking breaking ball in a minor league game for a bomb. Let's not overreact to that. Yeah. But one number I will focus on when it comes to his minor league stats is the strikeout rate. The strikeout rate at 28.2%. His career strikeout rate is at 28.6%. When he was an all-star in 21, his strikeout rate was at 28.7%. Just last year, it was 35.2%. You can't have anything like that. Also, his power numbers, Clint, last year he had a 373 slug. I mean, that's the lowest in his career. I mean, his isolated power was down significantly down to 152. So this year, just one extra base hit. So that is kind of the fear. The extra base hits aren't there. Strikeouts have gone down a little closer to his career averages. But yeah, early on this season, if he doesn't come out of the gates and have some success early, he's going to be the new Cody Bellinger for Dodgers fans. And what I mean by that is he's going to be the guy that Dodger fans are going to blame all the losses on and talk about DFAing. And there's always that fun, sexy pick pick to just be the
Yeah.
Dodger that's going to fail. And if he doesn't have success early, people are going to ride on Chris Taylor. So hopefully he can get it going early. But yeah, you need more production from this outfield. They really did not address that. And look, Friedman's already said, hey, we're not going to shed salary. We are going to look to improve and bolster this roster. So I would be shocked if the Dodgers didn't go out there and make an impact trade at some point during the season to try to improve their offense. I mean, you know what's funny? Did you see that clip I posted where I asked Freddie Freeman to break down the roster?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
When
Also
Freddie
there for it, but
you were there for it too, yeah. So, it's just funny because I read in the comments, and I don't think this is true or not, but people were saying that Freddie started laughing when he said CT3. So that's not true. He didn't actually mean that, but I think that Freddie Freeman is an optimistic guy like myself, and you look at the back of the baseball card on a guy like JD Martinez, who has been one of the best hitters over the last decade, a multi-time All-Star. But hey, we're not talking about what the players have done. We're looking at what they're going to do, what they're going to project to do. And yeah, Gavin Lux was going to be that guy that was going to really hopefully have that big year. But yeah, the outfield, definitely some big questions, and
Huge
it's definitely a legitimate concern.
And all of those huge questions translate to the bullpen, and I mean not the bullpen, to the bench, and a little bit to the infield, because like if they do go with like an Outman or even which one is the better one we're saying right now is Zimmer. They that really kind of pushes CT more towards that infield, the primary backup infielder all around. And now you start looking on the infield. Hey, you're hoping he does well. Miguel Rojas is historically not a very good hitter. We don't know anything really about Miguel Vargas. Max Muncy was terrible last year until he wasn't, and he's looked great so far this year, and we love him deeply. Will and Freddie are going to be Will and Freddie, but yeah, there's a lot of what ifs that need to go very well. Noah over here, it's his birthday show, and he's hyping in the comments.
What's up,
Says,
Noah?
for the sake of not making Dodger fans angry, just put James Outman on the opening day roster and let him play.
Let Outman cook.
That's definitely the that's the smart way a fan would look at it for sure. I don't know if that's the way the team would look at it.
But I was going to ask you a question. I mean, at this point in spring training, a few weeks ago, we were talking about Hayward's new swing. It's unlocked. It's a shorter stroke. James Outman's the best baseball player since Babe Ruth. And then all this stuff. At this point of spring training, don't you think these guys are saying, look, we've done spring training. We're ready for the real thing. We want to play some real baseball in the regular season. Don't you think there's a little bit of that?
You got to figure these dudes are watching like Mookie out there.
Yeah, that's a good point,
play
too.
games people are actually watching and enjoying, or retweeting on the old Twitter box and all of that, as the kids call it.
Land of the free, home of the runs,
You
right?
cannot be excited here in at the tail end of spring training. It's very much the dog days of spring training. Get them over with. But yeah, no, 100%. Nando 390. I'm seeing some love in the stream, by the way, as usual, for Dave Roberts. He says, "What's up, guys? Over under on how many perfect games or no hitters Dave Roberts ruins this year? What do you got?" I'm gonna set it at 2.
2 sounds like a good idea. I think Gavin Stone will be 1 pitch away in the 9th, and he'll come.
He's not letting Gavin Stone pitch in the 9th. We are going to talk about Gavin Stone in a second. Show's gone long like we usually do because we're just talking. We're just having a good time. We're catching up. I haven't seen him in like a week. What do we got?
How's it going, Clint?
Doing good. How are you
Welcome
doing?
back.
Are you having
You know.
fun? Frantic. We're having some. We've had a number of struggles on the stream. If you guys are watching, but
You know.
producer Cody trying his damnedest back here to make things work. So, guys, make sure you leave a like in the
How you face
comment.
adversity like a champ.
Leave a K in the comments for Cody. What do we got? I'm off in the comments. Find a couple comments, and then we'll get into a little bit of Gavin Stone before getting the hell out of here. But some love, some not love for CT3 in here. Roy Estrada says we need to eat the CT3 contract, need contact hitters. Roman saying if CT3 doesn't produce, he could be on the trade or be included in a trade package. You know, Dave is trying to speak CT3's like rebound into existence. It sounds like it's just an observation of mine.
I agree. It also does seem like they're not on the same page as far as like where his swing's at, and
They're not on the same page about a number of things, to be honest.
yeah. And Dave Roberts is pretty much alluding to the fact that I mean, it's a pretty tricky swing. There's a lot of stuff going on, and if you look at his swing, it does look like he's getting underneath stuff. And if you look at where his hands are placed, he's getting underneath a lot of balls, and that bat path is not in the zone as much as we saw when he was really at its peak. So hopefully it's just a mechanical adjustment and a timing thing for Chris Taylor. So yeah, I'm hoping for the best, but would he be involved in a trade? I mean, if you look at his trade value, I mean, his second year of a $60 million contract is a below average bat who, yes, he's versatile. I always call him like the modern day Ben Zobrist, but still, I think that you would be selling low on him. And there's not that many teams out there that would want a contract like that. And he's just a unique player. There's no question about it. But I think the Dodgers don't like to sell low, and they don't like to operate on a low leverage position. So I don't anticipate that. I think they're going to try long and hard to get him to be close to the guy he was in 2021. We got.
He could be. He definitely could be.
Yeah, there's definitely a world where he gets hot, and you start to see him. For him, it really clicks into place.
Yeah, he's had some injuries, and injuries led to bad swing choices. And you know, little changes that just compounded and led to, you know, what am I looking for? Words are a bitch today, guys. I'm telling you right now. Thank you. The thing with the brain, what do they call that? He needs more good vibes. He needs to have some confidence. There's the word, confidence. By Calvin Klein. Anyway.
And he was going through one of the worst stretches of his career before he hit that home run of our friend Alex Reyes in the wild card game. So he was one of the worst slumps he's ever had.
We know he could find it. We know he could he could do some things. It's just that he needs to kind of do some things, and that's what makes it a little bit scary. All right, let's talk. There's a lot of negative. We've been almost all negative now in the middle of this show as we're trying to power through it. But let's talk about something positive, because Gavin F. Stone is him. Dude is looking outright filthy so far this spring, not getting all of the opportunities in the world, but they're giving him kind of like that 08 the 08 Clayton Kershaw look in some of these spring training games. 4 games, 14 strikeouts, and 6 2/3 inning pitch. Confidence has to be at an all-time high for this kid, and we talked to him very early in the spring. He was in a good spot then, but he's got to be up here now.
Yeah, absolutely. And the first thing I want to say is that changeup needs to be placed on the COVID IL, because it is just sick. I mean, you see it out there, the fade it has, how on top of it he is. And if you look at his numbers so far, 14 punch outs in 6 2/3 innings of work across 4 appearances. He's been dominant. Dave Roberts' quote is saying, I think it's a certainty we're going to see him at some point this year. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And he's the guy that you just feel that swagger on the mound, that mound presence, that poise. Dave Roberts also talked about the fact that he's the only pitcher that has stayed for the entire game to watch every pitch from every pitcher. That stuff means something to me. You know, he's a guy that is so bought in. And I also look at the fact that he went from high A to triple A in one season, and 25 starts.
He got better, dude.
He did get better. The strikeouts were up. The command was better. The ERA, a 1.4 ERA, 168 punchies in 122 innings of work. And yeah, I mean, shout out to Ryan Denick, by the way. I like how he name dropped Ryan Denick, the Dodgers pitching coach, for showing him the grip on that changeup. That really changed everything. And I think also, too, that he's a guy that would embrace any role. If it is a swingman role, if it is a guy that has to come out of the bullpen and get some big outs, I think Clint, where we're at with Gavin Stone, is we're at the number picking stage. It's time for him to pick the real number.
Ooh.
He's at from 7. What is the? I was looking
71.
Up 71. Yeah. I mean, we're at the real number. 47. Tom Glavine. That's worn by Ryan Pepio. So I was thinking 47, maybe. Man, I would like to see him in, JP Fireeisen wears number 45. I would like to see him, take him out to the steak dinner and get Fireeisen's 45 and wear that kind of Pedro Martinez. But yeah, we're definitely, in my opinion, we're at the number picking stage where it's time for him to pick that real number.
Pick the number he's gonna stick with.
Buehler went from 64 to 21. Kershaw 54 to 22. He's a big dog. No, but I do think that Gavin Stone's going to be a rock for this Dodgers rotation, and I'm so excited to see.
Kershaw debuted wearing 54.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just saying.
That's a good point. That's a good point. By the way, what do you
that
think?
is also a very good pull guy because the Stone is like a rock, and a rock is Stone, and his name is Stone, so it's good.
No, I mean, I just think that
It's
this.
like you're good at this stuff.
Look, I mean, Gavin Stone's had a meteoric rise in this Dodgers farm system. And look, he's a lot like James Outman in the sense that he has dominated at every competition level that he's faced. And to me, in my opinion, Gavin Stone is going to be the best Dodgers pitcher coming out farm system since Walker Buehler. That's how confident I am in Gavin Stone, just because that changeup plays up at such a level where he's already developing that curveball. He's developing other parts of his game. As long as that fastball has the command that ranges in between 94 and 96 miles per hour, and as long as he's attacking hitters, and as long as he's keeping off the fat part of the plate. Yesterday, he did give up some hits. That's because he's leaving the ball out over the plate. If he avoids that, this guy could be special.
I mean, he really is looking special in meaningless games, actually meaningless games. But I don't know, man. This kid I'm extremely high on. Doug just dropped the interview this weekend. It could have been a better time, honestly. It was one of the first ones. I think it was like the first one we did when we were out there.
Yeah.
And it could not have been at a better time. But we got something special from DJ producer Cody.
Yo, what's up?
What's going
What's going on, guys? We have another super chat
Let's go.
from
Yeah.
another Dodgers Nation Hall of Famer, Diane Schroeder,
Diane.
with $20. She said, "Happy birthday, Noah, and hello, Clint and D-Mac."
What's up,
Hi,
Diane?
Diane. How you doing?
By the way, her pick for wins this year is 89. That's pretty low, Diane. I like it, though.
What you know about calling out Diane?
No, I know,
Like,
right?
Wow.
Hey, no, we
Thanks for
bring
your money. You have no faith in the
we
team.
bring objectivity to this team, and we hope we do that. And like, hey,
fair.
our picks are around the same. I mean, I think I said 162. But like, no, I mean, 89 wins. I mean, based on the conversation we just had, it's not outside of the realm of possibility. So I think there's a lot of Dodger fans out there that are trying to be optimistic about this roster, and I think that this team has the formula for winning in the regular season. The way they manage their bullpen, the way they manage their rotation, you can see them win a lot of games. But I think it is going to be a drop off, of course, for 111 wins. But yeah, I mean, Gavin Stone, not on that 40-man roster, but whenever he's put on, it's going to be interesting to see how much success he can have early on. If he can be a guy that can be a weapon, I think we'll see. To me, it feels like a bullpen role in the postseason, looking far too ahead. They don't have a defined closer right now. Will Walker Buehler come back and be a factor? I think that is the best case scenario. But Stone was a closer in college at Central Arkansas before he learned how to throw that changeup. Be very interesting. By the way, if he ever does become a closer, I think it'd be cool if his entrance music was Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme. How sick would that be? I'm telling you, it'd be electric at the Ravine. But yeah, I mean, he's not a kept secret anymore. I think the cat's out of the bag with Gavin Stone. And yeah, I think teams are gonna realize. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he's getting his shine. I'm glad that people are seeing what he can do.
No, it's fun. It's very fun to watch this kid and have something nice to talk about here at the end of the show. It is about time to get out of here. We would like to watch the end of the WBC game. Hey, Mexico right now up 3-0 over Japan.
That's my pick.
If it's Mexico versus US tomorrow, who do you got?
The United States, Mexico. Let's go.
North America will win.
North America will win.
Shout out Freddie Freeman in Canada.
Yes. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for struggling along with us. It was an interesting day. My brain no work good no more. But as always, find us on the internet, DodgersNation.com. If you go there and read all the articles, it supports Noah Cameras even more. So do that, and he can get new shoes. Because you like, he stepped in dog poop, so he needs to have new shoes. Guys, subscribe to Blue Heaven on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever your podcasts are available for free. We live there. Please do subscribe to us also on YouTube. We're trying to get to 100 billion subscribers, so Cody doesn't get stabbed by Doug or something like that. So hit that bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Helps us out in all of the algorithms, gives us that love. I'm Real FRG on Twitter and Instagram. That guy is DMac_LA on Twitter and Instagram. That guy over there, it's his birthday this week, so wish him happy birthday on Wednesday. He's probably not going to like your comments. He's definitely not going to retweet them. at Noah Camrus. Hey, he's over there in the back too. Go follow at Noise by That Fool Neil. Noise by Noel. There's no reason to follow Cody. He doesn't really do anything on his Twitter. But guys,
You guys can follow me on Mookie Betts.
at Mookie Betts, we are at Dodgers Nation on Twitter and Instagram. So that's a good way to support Cody and all the things that he does. Thanks for your comments, thanks for your questions. Thank you for the super chats. MH, Diane, I forgot the other
Diane.
name.
Michael
As
Carrillo.
always.
Michael Carrillo. Appreciate you guys as always, and we'll see you next week. Peace.